I'm back with another one of my favorite characters, the Decepticons' insane, gun-loving target master, Triggerhappy from the Titans Return toy line. Yep, it's another Target Master turned into a Headmaster. I mean Titan Master. This is kind of a running theme with this subline, where because of the unified gimmick, all sorts of characters suddenly become Headmasters when they'd never been one before. Now, I really like this figure. He has a great robot mode, a great vehicle mode, excellent posability, and a lot, I do mean a lot, of guns, which I guess is appropriate for this character. He still looks a lot like the original figure, except with the requisite upgrade in posability and transformation. Big hench upper body, narrow waist, long legs, all kind of makes him feel very space agile, like mobile suits from Gundam using the AMBAC system. Little bit of kibble here on the back in the form of the vehicle mode's nose cone, but it doesn't stand out too bad, and it folds up nicely, and I guess it looks okay. A little storage space in there for a jelly bean or something like that if you want to, I guess. I guess the engines up here and the wings here are also kind of kibble, but they're a part of his original profile, so I feel like they kind of get grandfathered in. Now, the original toy, the nose cone here, actually became the chest in his robot mode, and obviously he does not in this mode. So something kind of cool and very subtle is that the combination of the canopy with the shape of the pelvic region gives him kind of a fake kibble nose cone, like on his original toy. Unnecessary? Yes. Nice attention to detail? Also yes. I really like that little touch. It's great. So subtle you might not even notice it, but it's a detail that I find delightful, and I love it. His boots have a subtle tilt to them, like Quake did, and giving him a bit of a power stance if you got him upright, but not quite as noticeable as Quake's, and there's just something a little different about like the shape and thinness of his legs that make it not quite as dramatic as Quake's power stance, and it's also a little harder to get him to stand upright. His head here always kind of reminded me of Optimus Prime, like combined with a GoBot or something like that. But, you know, it's his head, and I guess he's kind of stuck with it. He is in a gorgeous shade of dark blue with a light gray, almost white plastic, giving it a nice contrast between the limb sections and stuff. Really helps his body parts to stand out. There's lots of silver and kind of coppery detail all over, little things. I'm not going to call all of them out, but it's to the point where he's got little tiny bits here on his feet, and that is great. There's a lot of attention to detail on him without it being overpowering. It helps to accentuate the figure. I love the shade of bronze that they used on the engine. I always felt that the splash of red on his face kind of made him feel like a baboon or a mandrill or something like that, but, you know, it's his thing. He's always had that red face. It all looks wonderful. I don't have the original toy to compare it with, but overall, he looks like a really close color match from what I've seen of pictures of the old toy. Very nicely done. Let's do a quick size comparison of my last subject, Titans Return Quake from the same line. Now, they're both in the same price point, and so they've got roughly the same size, and they look really good together. Their contrasting colors and different shades of gray, as well as their differing weapons, helps them to feel more like individuals with specialized roles, while also kind of helping them to feel like they're part of the same army, which, you know, they are, since they're both Decepticons. So I mentioned my love of grunt-style figures in my last video, and Triggerhappy kind of evokes that same feeling in me. Now, obviously, he isn't really a grunt. He is a character. He does have a personality, and he and Quake's designs never were ever used as generics in a comic book or anything like that that I know of. But he kind of has that look, you know, lots of guns, a kind of basic robot and vehicle mode, but with still lots of little attention to detail that help it to stand out. And it's not quite the same levels of, you know, grunt as Quake, but I love it. And until Quake came along, Triggerhappy was maybe my single favorite figure in my collection, and I still really like him a lot, and I'm really glad that my roommate convinced me to pick him up when we saw him, because he is a great little figure and he's a lot of fun to handle. Now, as a target master, Triggerhappy was originally partnered with Blowpipe, a little robot that turned into something called a compression cannon that fires super compressed air that can crush a target. Personally, I would think that a laser gun or something similar might be more efficient for the giant alien robot to use. Yeah, maybe that's just me. And yes, I know, depending on the continuity, what Blowpipe is changes. He could be an alien, he could be a robot, but regardless, let's just call him a robot for simplicity's sake. So now as a Titan Master, he is partnered with, Blowpipe. Yeah, his little robot head has the same name as his original gun, and alright, then I guess that makes this simpler to talk about. And Blowpipe's power is that he gives his partner the power of a compression cannon. Okay then, so we kind of come full circle here, I guess. Nice that they covered themselves like that. And as a Titan Master, you can swap their heads around, but their colors kind of make that tricky to look good. So I just leave them this way. Okay, let's talk posability, and I popped his guns off to make this a little bit easier on us. Head is on a swivel joint, can turn all the way around, can look up a little bit and down a little bit, and also kind of wag from side to side. Not much, but, you know, it's appreciated. Arm goes up like that on a joint. Rockets kind of get in the way a little bit of that, but not too terribly. Arm does a full 360-degree turn. Very nice. Kibble doesn't get in the way of that. There is an arm swivel here, but the wing kibble gets in the way of the arm turning around. But if you fold the hand up and do the cannon, then you get a lot more articulation on the arm. Elbow joint does a little over 90 degrees, but looks a little hollow on the edge here. No wrist articulation. A little bit of a shame. He does not have waist articulation, but he has hip articulation as a part of the transformation, so you kind of get the same effect, which is very nice. Leg can kick that far forward, that far back, and can go out to the sides that much, so he can totally do the Van Damme splits, which looks very good. Hip swivel up here, very nice. Knee joint, more than 90-degree bend as a part of the transformation, but, you know, it counts since we can use it, and it looks great. No foot articulation, or rather no ankle articulation, and then you can kind of lower and raise the feet a little bit, but that's kind of for the transformation. So you can actually do a decent amount of poses with this guy, and if you have a stand of some sort, which I don't have, you can make for a very exciting and dynamically posed figure. In terms of accessories, he comes with these two gray rifles that kind of look like Blowpipe's original weapons form, especially with these two mismatched barrels here. They are matched, but they're not quite twins. They have some slightly different detail. You know, they're opposites. And he can either dual wield them, as you saw in earlier pictures, or they can be combined together into a double-barreled cannon of some sort that also works as a battle sled for Blowpipe. So a lot of the Titan Master figures, if not all of them, had a minor gimmick where one of the little guys' heads can either ride in the weapons or the weapons combined into a vehicle for them to ride, kind of like with Quake's hidden cannon seat. I'm not entirely sure why they did this. Maybe as a reference to the Target Master gimmick with the little guys being pseudo-gunners, or to give them something to do with the vehicle modes than just sit in the cockpits. The sled is also designed to resemble Blowpipe's original toy, right down to it having his feet and legs as part of the detail at the back here. Kind of funny, but it's a nice touch. There were some side toys released that came with the Titan Master guys and a vehicle they combined with, but no robot body. Like Skytread here. So maybe, you know, you could have one of them peg in like that and then sit down and ride the little sled as a weapon, but except, of course, that first of all, that looks a little weird, but I guess it's a thing that you can do. And, you know, it also leaves poor Triggerhappy without anything to shoot anyone with. Well, except for these honking, huge cannons mounted on his arms. These are more for the vehicle mode, but if you fold the hands in, you can then fold the cannons forward for double, dual-barreled cannon action. And these look pretty sweet in this mode. On the original 80s toy, these were mounted on the engine pods and couldn't be used this way in robot mode, so this is a really nice extra feature and kind of contributes to that generic soldier drone feeling where he can fold his arms up into basically a pure weapon, kind of like Shockwave and his laser arm. Oh, and just in case Triggerhappy needs even more guns, and of course he does, there's these little 5mm pegs on the inside that you can plug his normal guns into, like so. And then you have dual triple gun action. Yikes. That is a lot of daka daka daka, which combined with his personality is a little terrifying, and I love it. I guess you could even use like these little pinholes on the engine as another 5mm port, but I'm not totally sure it was intended for that. Let's pop Blowpipe off for a little bit so we can get a closer look at him. As with all Titan Master figures, there really isn't much in terms of paint to him, but what there is looks pretty good. He has some nicely done yellow eyes. They're a little bit hard to see. The red stands out fantastically against the blue, and converting him to the robot mode is as easy as any other Titan Master figure, and he has the exact same articulation as any other Titan Master figure. Head swivels and looks up and down. Arms can kind of go around a little bit. They only really do about 90 degrees and can only kind of go out and in a little bit. He's got little upper legs there, and his knees can bend. Not much, but, it's impressive that a figure that's basically an inch tall has that much articulation anyway. One quick little detail is that Triggerhappy, or my copy at least, doesn't have the same problem I mentioned in my Quake review, where sometimes the Titan Master head doesn't fit into the slot the right way, and you have to turn the head around 180 degrees for it to properly and snugly fit inside of the head. Blowpipe fits Triggerhappy perfectly and fits very snugly without any potential damage. So, weird thing, I guess, just something to think about. Well, we already popped Blowpipe off, so we might as well go to the transformation. All right, start by folding the hands up and folding the guns out. Straighten the arm and then fold this wing out and tab it into those things. That will lock the engine in place. Repeat on the other side, not too surprising. Pull the new weapon and gun pod out from the body on these struts. Fold the nose cone up and fold the hip section back so that it looks like this. Now rotate the upper body 180 degrees, like so. Open the cockpit hatch to make things a little bit easier for you shortly, and fold the nose cone up, taking time to notice the lovely little bits of detail that are a little bit hard to see in the cockpit. Nothing painted or printed, but it's a nice little touch. Anyway, fold the nose cone up and connect it like so. Now let's look at the legs. Rotate the hips around 180 degrees so they're facing like that. Push this strut on the foot here up until it is inside the leg. Do the same on the other side and fold the feet, the front of the feet up 90 degrees until they're folded like that. Peg the legs together and now fold them over the legs and over the hip section like so, and then continue folding at this joint, and it's going to take a little finagling, but it's not too difficult, he says as he's immediately screwing it up. There we go. Fold it up until you can peg it in like so, and you get this nice cohesive body. Then you take the wing struts and you push them back and peg them in on the side here. Peg the engines in. Repeat on the other side until it is like so. Take Blowpipe, fold him up. Do not fold him down into the sitting position. Keep his legs out straight. He slots right into the cockpit there. Unfortunately, unlike Quake, you cannot leave Blowpipe connected through the transformation. Close the cockpit, turn it over, open this bit of landing gear, take the guns, peg the guns in on the bottom side of the wings, and your transformation is complete. The transformation may look a little bit complicated, but trust me, once you've done it, maybe even only once or twice, it all feels very natural, and it looks very cool to basically have all of his parts splay out, and then he spins and scissors around and recombines in a new configuration. Fantastic transformation, and one of my favorites of any Transformer. And wow, just look at this beauty. Everything folds up so nicely and neatly, making a gorgeous updated version of Triggerhappy with relatively little kibble and a tight, compact, aggressive design. Just look at all of these cannons. This guy's got his video game alt-fire mode completely covered. The wing cannons here and how they fit into the holes give him a kind of customizable feel, like he could swap out for different weapons for changing mission parameters or for having squads of this guy. And in fact, since a lot of other Titan Masters have similar double-matched weapons, you could totally do that if you wanted to. Again, see my love of grunts. That blue with its little painted on details looks so nice in this mode, with the gray to break up the colors a little bit, and this gorgeous coppery gold paint on the engines is perfectly positioned and looks fantastic. And the transformation draws more attention to the detail painted on his wings. As mentioned during the transformation, the cockpit has a lot of molded in detail, though none of it's painted. It is a nice touch, and it looks good. He feels like a mix of an X-Wing and Cyclonus's design, with these forward swept wings. No articulation in robot mode, of course, but you can fold up the landing gear if you want for when you're in flight mode. And you've got another peg here on the bottom to put into a stand if you want to display him that way. Let's show him off with Quake here, and the two look great together in their vehicle modes, both with that rugged, militaristic, military vehicle feel. Not much else to say, I've already kind of talked about it before. So, that's Triggerhappy. I think he's a great upgrade to the original toy from what I've seen of it, and he also totally stands up as his own excellent figure. He's still one of my favorite Transformers toys. If you have this guy in your collection, good for you. And if you don't, and you should happen to come across one in good condition out there that isn't too expensive, you should think about picking him up. He's an excellent addition to any Decepticon army, and I think he still holds up and looks good. As for my next video, I think we'll take some time to reflect on my current favorite grunt and give him some time in front of the camera, so to speak. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, and always remember to play well.